Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair, looking at the stars through the main screen. The Liberty's Edge was a small ship, only 30 people on board. They had been flying around the edge of human space for 3 weeks now, checking for anything strange. "Captain, we have something on the scanner," said Lieutenant Amy Davis from her station. She was the ship's weapons officer, a young woman with short brown hair and sharp eyes. "It's big, sir. Really big." Jake turned his chair to face her. "How big are we talking about?" Amy's fingers moved fast over her controls. Her face went pale. "Sir, it's 10 times bigger than us. Maybe more. It's not moving toward us, but it's not moving away either." Sergeant Tim Rodriguez looked up from his communication station. He was a thin man with dark hair who never seemed to get excited about anything. Today was different. "Captain, I'm not getting any signals from it. No radio, no nothing. It's just sitting there." Jake stood up and walked over to Amy's station. The screen showed a large dot that looked much bigger than their own ship. "Any idea what it is?" "No, sir. It doesn't match anything in our database. The shape is wrong, the size is wrong, and the metal it's made from doesn't look like anything we use." Jake felt his stomach tighten. This could be first contact with aliens. Earth had been wondering for years if they were alone in space. Now they might have their answer. "Try to talk to them, Tim. Use all the frequencies we have. Maybe they'll understand something." Tim nodded and started working on his radio. "Unknown ship. This is the Earth vessel Liberty's Edge. Please respond. We come in peace and want to talk." They waited. The seconds felt like hours. Then the alien ship moved. "Captain!" Amy shouted. "They're turning toward us." "And sir, I'm reading weapons charging up on their ship." Jake's training kicked in. "All hands, battle stations. Amy, get our shields up. Tim, keep trying to talk to them." The ship's alarm started ringing. People ran to their stations all over the small vessel. Jake had drilled his crew many times, but this was real. "Unknown ship, please do not attack. We are peaceful. Please respond." Tim said into his radio over and over. The alien ship got closer. It was huge, like a floating city made of dark metal. Strange lights blinked along its sides. Jake could see weapon ports, opening up. "Double quote, sir. They're not answering." "I've tried everything," Tim said. His voice was tight with worry. "Amy, what do our weapons look like against that thing?" Amy checked her screens fast. "Not good, sir. We have 8 missiles and 2 laser cannons. They have a lot more than that." The alien ship stopped about 5 miles away. For a moment, nothing happened. Jake hoped they were just being careful, like humans would be when meeting strangers. Then the alien ship opened fire. Bright beams of energy hit their shields. The whole ship shook. Jake grabbed his chair to stay standing. "Shields down to 60%, Amy called out. "They're charging." "Up for another shot. Return fire," Jake ordered. He didn't want to fight, but the aliens had made the choice for him. "Tim, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we found aliens, and they're not friendly." Amy's fingers flew over her weapons controls. Missiles away. Their small missiles raced toward the giant alien ship. They looked like tiny dots next to the huge vessel. When they hit, small explosions flashed on the alien's hull. "Did we hurt them?" Jake asked. "I don't think so, sir. Their shields are still at full power." The alien ship fired again. This time, the beams were brighter and hit harder. The Liberty's Edge shook so hard that Jake's teeth rattled. "Shields down to 30%, Amy reported. "We can't take many." More hits like that. Jake thought fast. They couldn't win in a straight fight. But maybe they could run. Or maybe they could be smarter than the aliens expected. "Amy, next time they fire, I want you to fire our lasers at the same time. Aim for the same spot our missiles hit. Sir, our lasers won't do much damage. Maybe not, but if we hit the same place over and over, we might get lucky. The alien ship charged its weapons again. Jake could see the energy building up in their weapon ports. Here they come, Amy said. Firing lasers now. The alien beams hit their shields again. At the same time, their own laser beams reached out and hit the alien ship in the same spot their missiles had struck before. This time, something different happened. Sparks flew from the alien ship's hull. One of their weapon ports went dark. We got one of their guns, Amy said, sounding surprised. The alien ship seemed surprised too. It stopped firing for a moment. Jake guessed they hadn't expected the small human ship to fight back so well. Keep hitting that same spot, Jake ordered. Maybe we can take out more of their weapons. For the next hour, the two ships fought. The Liberty's edge was much smaller and weaker, but they were faster and smarter. Jake used every trick he knew to keep his ship alive. Amy kept targeting the weak spots they had found on the alien ship. Slowly, they managed to take out 3 more of the aliens' weapons. It wasn't much, but it was something. Tim kept trying to call for help, but they were too far from Earth for anyone to hear them quickly. Then something wonderful happened. 3 more human ships, just like the Liberty's Edge, came out of hyperspace. "This is Captain Elena Santos on the Desert Wind," came a voice over the radio. "Jake, what the hell is going on out here?" Jake had never been so happy to hear another person's voice. "Elena, we found aliens, and they started shooting first. We could use some help." The 4 human ships worked together. They were all small scout vessels, not built for fighting. But together, they were stronger than one alien ship, even a big one. After another hour of fighting, the alien ship's weapons went quiet. Smoke came from holes in its hull. Jake thought about trying to board it, but then it turned and flew away into hyperspace. Jake sat back in his chair, breathing hard. His first meeting with aliens had not gone the way anyone on Earth had planned. "Tim, get me Earth Command. Tell them we need to talk." War Commander Zethkar stood in the medical bay of his ship, the Domination's fist. His left arm was in a metal brace, and bandages covered burns on his face. The human weapons had done more damage than he wanted to admit. "Sir Supreme General, Vorthek wants to see you," said his aide, a young Kethfer named Plexum. The aide's 4 eyes showed worry. No one liked reporting bad news to the Supreme General. Zethkar walked slowly to the communication room. His ship was still being repaired after the fight with the humans. Holes in the hull let cold space air in until the repair crews could fix them. 23 of his crew were dead, and 40 more were hurt. The communication screen turned on, showing Supreme General Vorthek's angry face. The general had 6 eyes instead of 4, marking him as one of the oldest and most powerful Kethver alive. His skin was dark red, almost black, and covered in the scars of 100 battles. "Explain to me, War Commander, how you lost a fight to a species we had never heard of before," Vorthek said. His voice was cold and dangerous. Zethkar tried to stand straight despite his injuries. "Sir, the humans have military technology far beyond what we expected. Their weapons are more accurate than ours, and their ships are faster." "How many ships did they have?" 4, sir. 4 heavily armed battleships working together. They moved like they had been fighting as a team for years." Vorthek's 6 eyes narrowed. "4 ships defeated your dreadnought?" "Yes, sir, but these were not normal ships. They had advanced targeting systems that could hit our weak spots even while moving at high speed. Their weapons, while smaller than ours, could punch through our shields in the same place over and over until they broke through." Across the room, Intelligence Officer Kexara listened to every word. She was smaller than most Kethver, with light blue skin and large hands perfect for working with computers. Her job was to study enemy forces and figure out how dangerous they were. What about their crew? Vorthik asked. How did they fight? Like nothing I have ever seen, sir. They never panicked, even when we had them badly outnumbered. Their captain made smart moves that kept his ships alive much longer than should have been possible. When the other 3 ships arrived, they worked together perfectly. No wasted movements, no confusion. Kexara typed notes into her computer as fast as she could. Everything Zethkars had made the humans sound more dangerous. Sir, Kexara said, if I may speak? Vorthik turned one of his eyes toward her. What? Is it? Based on War Commander Zethkar-S report, these human ships appear to be advanced battleships. If they can field 4 such vessels for a simple patrol, their total military might must be enormous. Zethkar nodded. That's what I was thinking too, sir. The way they fought, these had to be some of their best ships with their most experienced crews. Vorthik was quiet for a long moment. The Kethver had conquered 12 different species over the past century. None of them had ever defeated one of their dreadnoughts, let alone with such a small force. How long until your ship is repaired? Vorthik asked. 2 weeks, sir. The humans did a lot of damage to our engines and weapons. Return to the home. Fleet immediately, once repairs are complete. We need to prepare for war against a species that might actually be able to fight back. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, Captain Jake Morrison sat in Admiral Lisa Bennett's office on Earth. The Admiral was a woman in her 50s, with gray hair and tired eyes. She had been fighting space pirates and dealing with politics for 20 years, but first contact with aliens was something new. Tell me again what happened out there, Jake, she said. Jake had already told the story 3 times, but he told it again. We found their ship just sitting in space. We tried to talk to them, but they opened fire without warning. We fought back, and eventually Elena Santos showed up with 3 more scout ships. Together, we managed to drive them off. Admiral Bennett looked at the damage report from the Liberty's Edge. Your ship took a beating. Yes, ma'am. Their weapons are powerful, but not very accurate. We were able to dodge most of their shots. And you think they'll be back? Jake thought about the alien ship flying away. I don't know, ma'am. They didn't try to talk at all. Either they can't talk to us, or they don't want to. Admiral Bennett stood up and walked to her window. Outside, Earth looked peaceful and blue. I'm putting together a defense plan. We need to be ready in case they come back with more ships. What neither Jake nor Admiral Bennett knew was that their small fight had already grown into something much bigger in the minds of the aliens. Back on the Kethver home world, Supreme General Vorthik called together his best commanders. The meeting room was huge, with enough space for 200 officers. Maps of the galaxy covered the walls, showing all the worlds the Kethvar controlled. We face a new enemy, Vorthik announced to the room. The humans have military technology that matches or exceeds our own. Intelligence Officer Kexara will brief you on what we know. Kexara stood up, her computer tablet in her hands. The humans can field at least 4 advanced battleships for simple patrol duties. This suggests they have many more ships in their main fleet. Their weapons technology is highly advanced, able to target and exploit weak points in our armor that we didn't even know existed. Murmurs went through the crowd of officers. The Kethver had always believed their dreadnoughts were the most powerful ships in the galaxy. How many ships do we think they have? Asked War Commander Drexel, an old soldier with many battle scars. Unknown, but if they use 4 battleships for patrols, their main battle fleet could number in the hundreds or even thousands. Kexara replied. The room went quiet. The Kethver had only 300 dreadnoughts in their entire fleet. What? do you recommend? Vorthik asked. We need to strike first, before they can bring their full fleet to bear against us. If we attack with everything we have, we might be able to defeat them before they realize we're coming. Vorthik nodded slowly. Prepare the full invasion fleet. Every ship, every warrior. We attack the humans before they attack us. As the meeting ended and officers hurried away to prepare for war, none of them realized the truth. The 4 ships that had defeated their dreadnought were not advanced battleships at all. They were simple scout vessels, barely armed and never meant for real combat. The human fleet they were so worried about was just 4 small ships doing routine patrol work on the edge of human space. But the Kethver didn't know this. To them, War Commander Zethkar had fought against humanity's elite forces and barely escaped with his life. They prepared for war against an enemy they believed had hundreds of ships, just as powerful as the ones that had defeated their dreadnought. The misunderstanding that would shape the future of both species had begun. Spymaster Quinder sat in the dark intelligence center of the Kethver home world. Banks of computers surrounded him, each one trying to break into human communication networks. His job was to learn everything about the enemy before the invasion began. Have you found anything useful? Asked his assistant, tech operator Mixon. She was young for a Kethver, only 50 years old, but very good with computers. I'm getting some of their transmissions, but their language is strange, Quinder replied. His translation computer was working hard to understand human words. Watch this. On the main screen, a video appeared. It showed human soldiers running through a fake city, shooting at targets and throwing grenades. The soldiers moved fast and worked together like a perfect team. What are we looking at? Mixon asked. This appears to be documentation of their elite death squads. Look how they move, how they fight. Each soldier is like a small army by himself. The video is actually just a normal training exercise for human Marines, but the Kethver translation computer got it wrong. It labeled the video as advanced combat documentation instead of basic training exercise. How many of these super soldiers do they have? Mixon asked. Quinder checked his notes. From what I can tell, they have hundreds of these death squad units, maybe thousands. Each one can probably conquer a small planet by itself. This was completely wrong. The video showed one normal Marine battalion doing standard training. But the translation errors made it seem like every human soldier was a superhuman warrior. Sir, I found something else, Mixon said, pointing to another screen. This looks like their shipbuilding records. The screen showed a human news report about a new space station being built. The reporter was excited about the station's advanced defensive systems and powerful weapons arrays. Another battleship? Quinder asked. No, sir, this one looks even bigger. They call it a station, but look at the size. And these weapons they mention, it sounds like it could destroy our entire invasion fleet by itself. The space station was actually just a research facility with basic defensive weapons, no stronger than a police station. But the translation, computer and the Kethver lack of understanding about human technology made it sound like a planet-killing weapon. Quinder sent his reports to Supreme General Vorthik every day. Each report made the humans sound more and more dangerous. The Kethver began to believe they were facing an enemy with technology centuries ahead of their own. Meanwhile, on Earth, Colonel Peter Hayes sat in his office at Defense Command, looking at strange signals his computers had picked up. He was a quiet man who spent most of his time analyzing enemy communications, but there hadn't been any enemies to analyze until now. Sandra, take a look at this, he said to Lieutenant Sandra Kim, his communications expert. She was a smart woman who could speak 6 languages and understand radio signals better than anyone else in the military. Sandra looked at the data on his screen. Those aren't natural signals, sir. Someone is trying to break into our networks. The aliens? Has to be. Look at the pattern. They're trying to access our military databases, our news networks, even our entertainment systems. Colonel Has frowned. Are they getting anything useful? Hard to say. Our security is pretty good, but they might be picking up some of our public broadcasts. News reports, training videos, that kind of thing. What they didn't know was that the aliens were getting those broadcasts, but understanding them completely wrong. On the other side of the galaxy, the Kethvar invasion fleet was gathering. Supreme General Vorthik stood on the bridge of his flagship, the universe's end, watching as hundreds of ships moved into formation. Status report, he ordered. War Commander Drex Al stepped forward. We have 250 dreadnoughts ready for battle, sir. 100 support ships and 50,000 ground troops. It's the largest invasion force we've ever assembled. And? You think it will be enough? Drexel hesitated. Based on the intelligence reports, the humans might have twice as many ships, all more advanced than anything the Kethvar had ever built. Sir, if the intelligence reports are accurate, we might be facing a superior force, but we have the advantage of surprise. If we strike fast and hard, we might win before they can respond with their full fleet. Vorthik nodded. What about their ground forces? According to Spy Master Quinder, each of their soldiers is equal to 10 of ours. Their death squads are especially dangerous. We'll need to use overwhelming numbers if we want to take their planets. This made Vorthik even more worried. The Kethvar had always won by having better soldiers and better weapons. If the humans had both advantages, this war might be impossible to win. How long until we reach their space? Vorthik asked. 6 days, sir. We'll come out of hyperspace, near their outer colonies, and hit them before they know we're coming. Back on Earth, Admiral Lisa Bennett was meeting with her top commanders. The conference room was full of men and women in military uniforms, all trying to figure out how to defend against an alien invasion. We have to assume they'll be back, Admiral Bennett said. Captain Morrison's encounter shows they're hostile, and they have powerful weapons. What about our defenses? Asked General Robert Clark, the head of Earth's ground forces. We have the 3rd Reconnaissance Fleet ready to deploy. 12 ships, all the same class as Captain Morrison's Liberty's Edge. It's not much, but it's what we have available for outer system patrol. Captain Morrison, who had been invited to the meeting, looked uncomfortable. Ma'am, with respect, those are just scout ships. If the aliens come back with more than one vessel, we might not be able to stop them. I know, Jake, but we're not expecting to fight their entire fleet. We just need to delay them long enough for the main defense force to mobilize. What Admiral Bennett didn't mention was that Earth's main defense force was still being built. Most of humanity's ships were cargo vessels and civilian transports. The real military fleet existed mostly on paper and in shipyards that wouldn't finish construction for another year. Captain Morrison left the meeting feeling worried. His small victory against the alien ship had been mostly luck and good teamwork. If they faced a real invasion force, his reconnaissance ships wouldn't stand a chance. But he didn't know that his small victory had terrified the aliens so much that they were bringing their entire military to fight him. The Kethvar fleet moved through hyperspace toward human territory. Every ship was armed with the most powerful weapons the aliens had ever created. Every soldier was a veteran of previous conquests. They expected to face the toughest fight of their lives against an enemy with superior technology and superhuman warriors. None of them knew they were about to attack a species that considered Jake, Morrison's little scout ship, to be barely armed for exploration work. The greatest misunderstanding in galactic history was about to become a war, and both sides were completely wrong about what they were fighting. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Liberty's Edge, looking at the 12 ships of his reconnaissance group. They were spread out in a loose formation near Kepler Research Station, a small science outpost that studied the local star. "System, contact from Kepler Station, sir," said Sergeant Tim Rodriguez from his communication station. "Dr. Nancy Wilson wants to know if we're staying long. They have some interesting data about the local planets." Jake smiled. "Tell her we're just doing a routine patrol. We'll be gone in a few hours." Lieutenant Amy Davis looked up from her scanner station. "Sir, I'm getting some strange readings. Something big is coming out of hyperspace." Jake's smile disappeared. "How big?" "Really big, sir. Multiple contacts. I count ... tufty ... no. Wait. 100. Sir, there are over 200 ships coming. Toward us." The main screen lit up with red dots as the alien fleet appeared. Jake had never seen so many ships in one place. Each dot represented a vessel larger than his own ship. "Tim, get me Admiral Bennett right now." "Emergency frequency," Jake ordered. His voice stayed calm, but inside he was terrified. "Sir, I'm also getting Captain Elena Santos on the Desert Wind," Tim reported. "Put her through." Elena's voice came. Over the radio. She sounded as worried as Jake felt. "Jake, are you seeing this? There must be 200 alien ships out there. I see them. We need to get the civilians off Kepler Station." "Agreed." "Rick and Maria are already moving toward the station. What's our plan?" Jake looked at the mass of alien ships on his screen. His 12 scout vessels couldn't fight that many enemies. But they couldn't just run away and leave the scientists to die. We buy them time to evacuate. Hit and run tactics. Make the aliens think twice about getting too close to the station. On the bridge of the universe's end, Supreme General Vorthix stared at his own screens. Instead of the massive human battle fleet he expected to find, there were only 12. Small ships. Where is their main fleet? He asked Intelligence Officer Keksara. "Sir, these must be the same class of battleships that defeated War Commander Zethkar. Look at how they're positioned, perfectly spaced for maximum firepower coverage." War Commander Zethkar, who had been given a new ship after his first one was damaged, pointed at the human formation. "There, the lead ship. That's the same vessel that destroyed half my weapons. The Liberty's Edge." Vorthix studied the human ships carefully. They looked small on his screens, but he knew appearances could be deceiving. These same ships had defeated one of his dreadnoughts. "They're protecting that space station," observed War Commander Drexel. "It must be important to them. Or it's a trap," Keksara added. "The station might be another one of their super weapons, like the ones in our intelligence reports." Vorthix made his decision. Deploy the full fleet. Battle formation. If these are their elite battleships, we take no chances. The alien fleet spread out into an enormous attack formation. 250 dreadnoughts, each one 10 times larger than Jake's scout ships. Prepared for battle. Jake watched the alien ships moving and felt his stomach drop. "They're all coming for us. Amy, what are our chances?" Amy checked her computer. "Sir, if each of their ships is like the one we fought before, we're outnumbered about 20 to 1. Maybe more." "Tim, how long until Kepler Station can evacuate?" "Doctor, Wilson says they need at least 2 hours to get everyone off safely, sir." Jake made his decision. "All ships, this is Morrison. We're going to give those scientists their 2 hours. Elena, take your group and hit their left flank. Rick, you take the right. Maria, you're with me down the middle. Hit and run, people. Don't try to slug it out with them." The 12 human ships moved toward the massive alien fleet. From a distance, it looked like 12 minnows attacking a school of whales. The battle began when the aliens opened fire at long range. Hundreds of energy beams lit up space, but most of them missed. The human ships were small and fast, darting between the alien shots like insects. Jake's group reached the alien line first. Amy, target their weapons. Same tactic as before. Find their weak spots and keep hitting them. The Liberty's Edge fired its missiles and lasers at the closest alien ship. The weapons hit exactly where Amy aimed them, and sparks flew from the alien vessel's hull. But this time, there were too many enemies to focus on just one. As soon as Jake's group hit one ship, 5 others turned their weapons on them. Shields. Down to 40%. Amy reported as alien beams hammered their ship. On the other side of the battle, Helena Santos was having similar problems. Her 3 ships had managed to disable 2 alien vessels, but they were taking heavy damage in return. Jake, we can't keep this up. Elena's voice came over the radio. They've got too many ships. Jake watched his reconnaissance group fighting, desperately against impossible odds. They were good pilots in good ships, but there were just too many aliens. Then something amazing happened. Rick Thompson's group, attacking from the right flank, found a weak spot in the alien formation. 3 alien ships collided with each other while trying to avoid Rick's missiles. Did you see that? Maria Gonzalez called out over the radio. Their big ships can't turn fast enough to avoid collisions. Jake saw the opportunity. All ships, new tactic. Get in close and make them run into each other. The human ships dove into the middle of the alien formation. The huge alien dreadnoughts, designed to fight other big ships at long range, couldn't handle small, fast enemies darting between them. As the aliens tried to target the human ships, they kept getting in each other's way. Some stopped firing to avoid hitting their own vessels. Others crashed into each other while trying to turn. For an hour, the 12 human scout ships danced through the alien fleet, causing chaos wherever they went. They couldn't destroy many alien ships, but they were making the aliens destroy themselves. The universe's end, Supreme General Vorthok watched in horror as his perfectly organized fleet fell apart. The human ships moved like nothing he had ever seen, always in the right place at the right time. How are they doing this? He demanded. Sir, their coordination is perfect, Zethkar replied. Look how they move. It's like they can read each other's minds. We've lost 47 ships, Drexel reported. 17 destroyed, 30 damaged too badly to fight. By 12 ships. Vorthok couldn't believe it. Sir, these have to be their absolute elite forces, Kexara said. No normal pilots could fight like this. Jake's voice came over his ship's intercom. All stations, this is the captain. Kepler Station reports successful evacuation. All civilians are away safely. Sir, Amy reported, we're almost out of missiles, and our shields are down to 15%. Jake looked at his tactical display. His 12 ships had fought for 2 hours against impossible odds and achieved their mission. But they couldn't fight much longer. All ships, this is Morrison. Time to go home. Form up for hyperspace jump. The 12 human ships pulled back from the alien fleet and disappeared into hyperspace, leaving behind a scene of destruction and confusion. Supreme General Vorthok stared at the empty space where the human ships had been. His invasion fleet had lost nearly a quarter of its strength to what he believed were just the advanced scouts of the human military. Sir, Drexel said quietly, if those were just their patrol ships, what will their main battle fleet be like? Vorthok didn't answer. For the first time in his long military career, he was afraid of the enemy he was fighting. The Battle of Kepler Station was over. The humans thought they had barely escaped with their lives. The aliens thought they had just fought the most elite military force in the galaxy. Both sides were preparing for what they believed would be an even bigger battle to come. 3 days after the Battle of Kepler Station, Supreme General Vorthok sat in his command chair, staring at the damage reports. His invasion fleet was supposed to be the most powerful military force in the galaxy. Now nearly 50 of his ships were destroyed or too damaged to fight. "Sir, incoming transmission from the human fleet," reported his communications officer. Vorthik straightened up. After losing so many ships to just 12 human vessels, he expected the humans to demand his surrender. Instead, the message surprised him. "This is Admiral Lisa Bennett of the Earth Defense Force. We request a meeting to discuss ending the conflict between our peoples." Vorthik looked at his officers. War Commander Zethkar stepped forward. "Sir, this might be a trap. Their advance fleet nearly destroyed us. Their main battle force could finish the job. Or," said Intelligence Officer Keksara, "they might be offering us a chance to surrender before they bring their full military power to bear." Vorthik thought about this. His spy networks had told him the humans had hundreds of advanced battleships. After seeing what just 12 of them could do, he didn't want to face their entire fleet. Send a reply. We agreed to meet and discuss terms. A week later, both sides met at Neutral Station, a trading post run by the Zelkari, a species that stayed out of other people's wars. The meeting room was simple, with a long table and chairs for both humans and Kethvar. Admiral Bennett entered, with a small group of advisors, including Captain Jake Morrison. She was a tired-looking woman in her 50s, who had spent the last week preparing for what she thought would be difficult surrender negotiations. Supreme General Vorthik entered with his own advisors. He was much larger than the humans, with dark red skin and 6 eyes that missed nothing. Despite his fearsome appearance, he looked worried. "Admiral Bennett," Vorthik said through his translator device, "I want to thank you for agreeing to meet. After the recent battle, we realize we may have underestimated your military capabilities." Admiral Bennett looked confused. "I'm sorry, General, but I think there's been a misunderstanding. We're the ones who should be worried. Your fleet has over 200 ships. We barely escaped with our lives." Now Vorthik looked confused. "Your 12 battleships defeated 47 of our vessels. Surely you have many more ships like those? Battleships?" Jake Morrison spoke up. "Sir, those weren't battleships. Those were reconnaissance vessels, scout ships." The translator device worked overtime as both sides tried to understand what the other was saying. Intelligence Officer Kex Araya leaned forward. "I'm sorry, Captain Morrison, but could you clarify what you mean by scout ships?" Jake looked at Admiral Bennett, who nodded, for him to continue. "Scout ships are lightly armed vessels used for exploration and patrol duties. They're not designed for combat against warships." Kexara's 4 eyes went wide. But but your ships destroyed our dreadnoughts. How is that possible if they're not warships?" "We got lucky," Jake admitted. "We're good at what we do, but we were never supposed to fight a real fleet battle. We were just trying to buy time for the civilians to evacuate." Vorthik felt something cold growing in his stomach. "Captain Morrison, if those were your scout ships, where is your main battle fleet?" Admiral Bennett answered instead. "General, I think we need to back up a bit. Let me ask you a question. Why did you attack our people without trying to communicate?" "First, we believed you were a military threat," Vorthik replied. "When War Commander Zethkar encountered your ships, they fought with such skill that we assumed they represented your best military forces." Jake Morrison scratched his head. "Sir, we were just doing our job. When someone shoots at us, we shoot back. That's basic training." "Basic training?" Kexara whispered to herself, typing frantically on her datapad. Admiral Bennett decided to be direct. "General Vorthik, how many ships do you think Earth has?" "Based on our intelligence, we estimated you had at least 500 advanced battleships. Possibly more." The human side of the table went quiet. Finally, Admiral Bennett spoke. "General, Earth's entire military fleet consists of about 40 ships. Most of them are cargo vessels with light weapons. Captain Morrison's reconnaissance group represents about 30% of our total combat capability. Vorthic's 6 eyes stared at her in disbelief. That's impossible. 12 of your ships fought our entire invasion fleet and won. We didn't win, Jake said. We ran away. If you had pressed the attack, you would have destroyed us all. War Commander Zethkar leaned over to whisper to Vorthik. Sir, if this is true, then our original attack succeeded. We could have destroyed their scout ships easily. But we didn't, Vorthik replied quietly. We retreated because we thought we were facing their elite forces. Admiral Bennett sensed the confusion on the alien side. General, may I ask about your intelligence reports? What exactly did you think you learned about our military? Kexara looked embarrassed as she pulled up her files. We intercepted what we believed were documentation of your super soldier programs. Elite death squads capable of conquering planets. Could you show us what you found? Kexara activated a holographic display showing the video of human Marines doing training exercises. The Kethver translation computer had labeled it as Advanced Elite Combat Unit Documentation. Jake started laughing. He couldn't help himself. Ma'am, that's basic training footage from the Marine Corps. Those aren't super soldiers. They're just regular troops learning how to work together. Regular troops? Zethkar asked in amazement. Yes, sir. Every human soldier learns to fight like that. It's standard procedure. Vorthik felt the universe shifting around him. How many soldiers does Earth have? About 50 million in various military branches, Admiral Bennett replied. The silence in the room was complete. The Kethver had been terrified of fighting an enemy with a few hundred super soldiers. Now they learned that Earth had 50 million troops, all trained to the level they thought was superhuman. Double quotes. What about your space stations? Kexara asked. Weakly. The ones with planet-destroying weapons? Admiral Bennett looked at Jake, who shrugged. We don't have any planet-destroying weapons. Our space stations are research facilities and cargo depots. But our intelligence showed powerful defensive systems. Double quotes. Defensive systems, yes. Like any important facility. But we're talking about weapons designed to stop pirates and smugglers, not military fleets. Vorthik slowly put his head in his hands. The greatest military leader of the Kethver Empire had just learned that he had attacked a peaceful species based on completely wrong information. Admiral Bennett, he said finally, we have made a terrible mistake. Our intelligence was wrong about everything. We thought you were a military threat, but you're just people. Just people who happen to be very good at defending themselves. Jake added with a smile. Admiral, Vorthik continued, what would you say if I told you that the Kethver Empire would like to formally apologize for this attack and request a peace treaty? Admiral Bennett smiled. I would say that sounds like an excellent idea. But I have to ask, if you're willing to make peace with us when you thought we only had 40 ships, what would you do if we actually had 500? Vorthik thought about this seriously. Admiral, if Earth actually had 500 ships like Captain Morrison's, and 50 million soldiers all trained like the ones in that video, the Kethver would immediately request to become your protectorate. We would beg for your protection against any other species foolish enough to threaten such a military power. Even though our ships are just scouts and our soldiers are just doing basic training? Admiral, 12 of your scout ships destroyed 47 of our dreadnoughts. Your basic training produces soldiers who fight better than our elite warriors. If that represents the bottom level of your military capability, I don't want to imagine what your actual battleships and elite forces would be like. Jake Morrison looked around the table. So let me make sure I understand this. You attacked us because you thought we were too dangerous. Now you want to be our allies because you realize we're even more dangerous than you thought. Except we're not actually dangerous at all? Captain Morrison, Warthik said, with what might have been a smile on his alien face. Your species has a gift for making war look like a peaceful patrol and making basic training look like elite combat skills. From our perspective, that makes you the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Admiral Bennett stood up and extended her hand to Vorthik. General, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. As they shook hands, Vorthik added, Admiral, there is one more thing. When word spreads through the galaxy that the mighty Kethver invasion fleet was defeated by a human patrol group, you're going to find that many other species want to be your friends too. Is that good or bad? Admiral Bennett asked. For you? Very good. For anyone thinking about attacking Earth. Very, very bad. 6 months later, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the U.E.'s Peacekeeper. He had been promoted to Admiral and put in charge of the joint human Kethfor patrol fleet. Through his window, he could see human and alien ships flying together, protecting the trade routes that now connected Earth to the Kethver Empire and 6 other species that had requested Earth's protection. Sir, said his communications officer, we're getting a request for help from the Zelkari. They say,